Hi, One Hour Smart Home here, and today we're going to show you how to use the new Nest Thermostat. So we've got our Nest Thermostat installed, and this is the Nest Thermostat that no longer has an outer ring. It's got a mirrored screen and a touch sensor for control. So the first thing you can see here is that we have the heat set to 66. That is that temperature in the middle. Now, down at the bottom tells us what the temperature is inside of our house. So currently our house is 72 degrees and the heat is set to 66 degrees, which means that the heat won't turn on until it gets to 66 degrees, and then the Nest thermostat will maintain that temperature. Now, what's important to note with the Nest thermostat is that there are only two actions that you can use to control this thermostat. So in order to control it, you can either tap and that will go into menus or make a selection, or you can press and hold and then slide up and down on the touch sensor on the side of the device. So let's say that I want to turn the heat up to 76 degrees so that my heat will come on. All I'm going to do is press my finger down here at the bottom and slide up, and then go again and slide up, and now my heat is set to 76 degrees. You can see that the heating symbol comes on and the indoor temperature is currently 72. So that heat will stay on until it reaches 76 degrees. Now I'm just going to adjust that back down so that it goes off, and let's just scroll down here and put it back at 68. Now let's say I want to go into the menus and make adjustments or view some of the settings on my Nest thermostat. To do that, what I'm going to do is just go ahead and tap once, and that's going to open up the menu here. And you can see there's a couple items on the display. First, it gives us the time. It's Monday at 2:20. The outdoor temperature is 46 degrees. The indoor temperature is 72 degrees, and the current humidity level is down here at 40%. Now that we're in this tab, if we were to tap, it would go back to the main screen. But we want to go through the settings, so we're going to slide down and then we're going to tap on whatever we're going to select. So the first thing we're going to go through is this fire symbol up here, and I'm going to tap again to make a selection. Now this gives us access to our different modes that we can choose from. So what I can do is I can go up here and select off, and that will turn the Nest thermostat off completely. I can scroll down and that will leave it back in heat, which is the current mode. I can then scroll down to air conditioning. And if I wanted to select air conditioning, now that it's highlighted, I would just tap again, and it's going to give us our temperature, and our cool is set to 79 degrees and our indoor temperature is currently 72 degrees. So what that means is our air conditioning would turn on at 79 degrees and then maintain that temperature. But currently our indoor temperature is 72 degrees, so the air conditioning wouldn't turn on at this point until it got hotter. Now I'm going to go ahead and click again and go back to those menus. So now I need to scroll back down to where we chose cool mode, and you can see that the last mode that we haven't gone through here is the heat cool mode. And what the heat cool mode does is it creates a range of temperatures for the Nest thermostat to hold between. So if it drops below a certain temperature, the heat will turn on, and if it goes above a certain temperature, the cooling or air conditioning will turn on. So I'm going to go ahead and click this and make a selection. Now you can see in the heat cool settings, we've got two set points. So down here at 68, my HVAC furnace and heat will turn on and maintain the heat at 68 degrees. Now, if it gets too hot and the temperature goes over 75 degrees, my cooling will then turn on and maintain the temperature with the air conditioning to no hotter than 75 degrees. So you have a range of temperatures here between 68 and 75. That means when the indoor temperature is 72, nothing will happen until that indoor temperature goes either above 75 or below 68. So in between those settings, the thermostat in HVAC isn't doing anything. It's just waiting until the temperature goes outside of the range, and then we'll kick on the appropriate heating or cooling service. So let's go ahead and change these settings. To adjust the heat cool range, what we need to do is slide our finger up and down, and it will allow us to choose between either changing the heat or the cool setting. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the heat setting, and to change it, now I need to tap as it says tap to change. Now I can once again scroll up or down and change the temperature. So I'm going to go ahead and set the heat a little bit lower, and then I'm going to tap again to set. All right, now we're selecting the cool setting, and I'm going to tap again to change. So now I'm going to once again scroll up or down to change this temperature, and we're just going to go ahead and set this to 80. Now I am done, so I'm just going to tap one more time, and now our settings for heat cool have been changed. Now we're going to go back into the Nest Thermostat menu settings and go to the next items. But first, I'm going to change us back to heat only mode. So I'm going to go ahead and tap again. That gets us into the menu settings. I scroll down and I click on the mode. So here we are. I click again, and now I'm going to scroll up till I get the little fire menu, and I click again. And now we've got our heat setting, and I'm just going to slide that down a couple degrees. Now we click again, and that lets us access the menu. Let's scroll down to the next menu item so we can see what it does. It says hold. So I click and make a selection, and now it lets us select a temperature. We can either select the current temperature, or we can select the eco mode temperature. So if I select current temperature, it means that the Nest thermostat will hold the setting for the current temperature, or if I select eco mode, it will hold the setting for whatever the eco mode temperature was set to. And the eco mode temperatures are typically designed to save you more energy, and we're going to get into those a little bit more later. I'm going to make the setting for the current temperature. So once I've got that selected, I'm just going to tap again. Now we're in the continue setting, and we're going to tap again here. Now it gives us an end time for that held temperature. So I can adjust this temperature hold for a longer time period until 6, 7, 10, 11, or even go into the AM hours. I'm just going to leave it on 5:30 AM, and I'm going to select this, and I'm going to do that by tapping once again. Now it allows us to confirm that. Now you can see that the Nest thermostat is holding the temperature to that 66 degrees, and the current temperature is 70 degrees. So it will hold this temperature till the time we designated in that hold setting mode. But in reality, the hold setting doesn't necessarily have that much use, because unless you have the thermostat set to a particular schedule, the Nest will stay at the temperature that you've designated until a schedule changes it, or until you manually change it with your finger or through the app. So we're just going to go ahead and undo this hold, and to undo that, we're going to click again, and we're going to scroll down to the hold mode, and we're just going to click stop. Now our heat is back to the 66 degree temperature, and it will stay at 66 degrees until a schedule changes it. We change it with our finger, or we change it from the Nest thermostat app. So I'm just going to make a selection again, and we're going to go to the next setting menu on the thermostat. Let's scroll down, and we're going to click the fan button. Here, Nest gives us the options to run the fan for 15 minutes or adjust that for different time frames, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, or even 12-hour increments. And the reason you might want to run the fan is if you just want to circulate air throughout your house, or if you live in a cold or hot climate, what you can do is continue to run the fan during most of the day to equalize the heating and cooling in your home. So even though your HVAC system may not be on, you're running that fan continually to circulate either hot or cold air that has already been heated or cooled by your HVAC system to get a more uniform temperature throughout your house. So I'm just going to go ahead, and we're going to click it for 2 hours. I make that selection by tapping once again, and I'm just going to click start. And what is going to happen is that the fan will start running. You can see up there at the top, the little logo popped up that shows the Nest fan will be running for 2 hours, and it will show you the countdown for how much longer that fan will be running. So once again, we're going to go in here, click again, and I'm going to scroll down to the fan menu, and I'm going to click on that again, and now I'm going to stop the fan, and the fan is off. And when you have that fan setting on, it will run independently of either your heating or cooling being on, but it will also run when your heating or cooling is on. So let's go ahead and click again and go down to the last menu items. So we click here, and this is the settings tab on the Nest Thermostat. Here you can see we have several different options, so we're just going to start at the top and scroll down here. First thing we click on is the equipment, and we're going to click on wiring info, and it tells us what wires we connected. So on our thermostat, we connected a Y, W, G, and R. The Y wire is air conditioning, the W wire is heating, the G wire is the fan wire, and the R wire is the power wire. So we're going to go ahead and click back, and now we're going to click on the power info. What this does is give us readings for the voltage that is going into the thermostat and our amperage going into the thermostat as well. So we're going to go ahead and click back because most of the time this information doesn't have a lot of use unless you're trying to troubleshoot the Nest thermostat. So we're going to go ahead and click back. Now we're going to scroll down and click back again. Now let's go to the next setting here, and we're going to click on this, and it is the battery setting. It tells us if the battery is good or bad, and we've got fairly fresh batteries in here, so our battery status is good. Now we're going to go ahead and click next, and what happens is we get a pop-up of the voltage for the batteries. It shows us the current voltage of the batteries and the impedance of the batteries. We're going to go ahead and just click done here. Let's scroll down one more, and we're going to click on the network settings, and what this is going to tell you is the network that you are connected to, your Wi-Fi network, and if you've got a strong connection. This can be helpful if you're troubleshooting why your Nest thermostat isn't being connected to Wi-Fi, and you can look and see the status of the Nest server here, and if you can control it from the app. So we're just going to go ahead, we're going to click back, and we're going to click back again. Now let's go ahead and scroll down to the next item here. It tells us the current software version on our thermostat, and if you want to manually update it, you can click the update button here, but the Nest thermostat will also typically auto update, so not always necessary to go in here and click the update because it will usually do this on its own. We're going to go ahead and click the update just to show you what happens. It will check and tell you that the software is up to date, or it will download the new software. So we're going to go ahead and click done, and let's scroll down to the next item. Account. We're going to go ahead and click on this. It says connected to account, and that means that we have this connected to the Google Home account so that we can control it remotely from the phone. We're going to go ahead and click back because we don't want to disconnect that. But if for whatever reason you changed your Google Home accounts, you could go in that tab and change the setting and connect it to a new Google Home account. Now let's go down to the next one, and it gives us an option to restart the thermostat. If you restart the Nest thermostat here, it's just like turning on or off your computer and starting it back up or restarting your smartphone. We're going to go ahead and click back here because at this time there's no reason for us to restart the thermostat. Now let's go ahead, scroll down one more, and we're going to click on this. This is the factory reset setting. If you are having issues with your Nest thermostat, or maybe you're moving homes, or maybe you're gifting this or giving away the Nest thermostat, you're going to want to return it to factory default. And to do that, all you would do is select the reset and then click on this again, and you could reset this system to factory default settings so that you could either give this thermostat away, or you could move out of your house and not have to worry about having any personal information on there. So we're going to scroll back and just click the back button. Now we're just going to go back to the main screen on the Nest thermostat, and we're going to get our phone out and show you how you can control the Nest thermostat from the phone, set up schedules on the Nest thermostat, and some of the other features that are only available in the Google Home app. So let's just go back all the way here. We're going to scroll up, we're going to click back, and then we're going to scroll all the way up, and we're just going to go back to our home screen here with our heat set to 66 and our indoor temperature currently at 70 degrees. Now we're going to show you how to control the Nest thermostat from the Google Home app. So we've got the Google Home app open over here on our phone. And this new Nest thermostat no longer works on the Nest app. It is all connected to and controlled by the Google Home app. So you're going to need to set up and install the Nest thermostat thermostat on Google Home. And once you do that, you can then control this thermostat. To access the thermostat, you're going to click the thermostat symbol here in the Google Home app. And then if you have more than one thermostat, you're going to have to select the thermostat that is attached to the Google Home app and labeled as such. Now we're in the control interface for the Nest thermostat, and you can see that we can change the temperature by pressing on up or down. So I just put down on here, and you can see the temperature changes a couple times, and now we're down to 64 degrees, which is the same temperature reflected on the Google Home app. So let's keep going down, and if I want to go back up, I can change that temperature again. And you can see there's a little bit of a delay, but it's usually pretty quick. Now, let's say I want to change from heating to cooling on the app. All I do is click over here, and where I've got this little fire symbol, I click on that, and then I can choose the different modes between heat, cool, or the heat, cool mode, or off. Now, if I click on the cool mode, now it will show up and give me air conditioning. So you can see over here, it made the change, and now it is cooling. And once again, I can then adjust the temperature by clicking up or down, and that corresponding change will be made on the Nest thermostat. Now you can see that the symbol changed down here for the mode, but it doesn't matter if it's either the heat or the cooling. You just need to go to that furthest left symbol, and that's going to be your mode change for the Nest thermostat. So let's click on that one more time, and we're going to select heat and cool. Now the heat cool mode has popped up on the thermostat, and once again we can make adjustments. And in any of the other modes, you can also use the plus or the minus to make adjustments, but you can also use your finger to scroll up and down and make the changes here. So let's go ahead and change this one down to 52, and we're going to change this one up to 87. And you can see that that change is now reflected on the Nest thermostat. Now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some of the features on the Nest thermostat. So you can see down here at the bottom, it shows the indoor temperature and the current humidity levels. We've got three other symbols here that we're going to come back to once we make some adjustments in some of the other settings menus. But now I'm going to click on this little bar graph icon up here at the top, and this is our energy dashboard. It shows us how much we're using our HVAC system on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or a monthly basis. So I'm just going to click on week, and you can see the different bars here for how much that thermostat was on and how much energy was used. So you can see the heat was on here, and you can see the air conditioning was on here, and how many hours that the system was used. You can see we have 11.6 hours of usage, and it says 7 leafs earned. And a leaf is just a comparison of your energy usage that shows that you are using it in an environmentally friendly way. And down here, it also shows the energy usage trend compared to previous weeks. So I'm going to click on the month graph, and now you can see the energy usage in a monthly graph. We're just going to click back here because there's not much else to that, and we're going to go ahead and click on the settings here at the top. Now, this is where the primary settings for the Nest thermostat can be adjusted. The device information is just going to give you specific information about the device, so really not that important unless you are troubleshooting something. We'll click on it just to show you what's in there, but it's going to give you your model ID, your serial number, and the name of the device. You can also change the hourly format from a 12-hour format to a 24-hour format here, or just leave it on the local default. We're going to go back, and now we're going to go ahead and click on the sharing icon. Now, if you want to share the Nest thermostat with other people in your household, you're just going to click on household, and here you can invite other people to control the Nest thermostat. So you just click invite person, enter their name or email, and then you're going to be able to add them so that they have control of the Google Nest thermostat as well. So we're just going to go back now, and we're going to go ahead and click on notifications. Here what they have is an air filter reminder. So I go ahead and I click on air filter reminder. And what this is a notification that will pop up to let you know to change your air filters. Typically you want to do this every 3 to 6 months, but I'm just going to slide this over so that I get an air filter reminder, and then I need to select when I last changed my filter. And I last changed it in September, so now I will get a notification that reminds me that I need to change my air filter in a couple months. So just a nice feature there, and we're going to go back, and we're going to go back again to the main menu. Now let's scroll down and we're going to click on the device features and click on thermostat. Now in this menu, we can change the display options for the Nest Thermostat. The very first item is the temperature unit, and you can choose between Celsius or Fahrenheit. So just select which temperature unit you want to use there and then leave it on that. So I'm going to leave mine on Fahrenheit. The next option is enabling or disabling the click sound. I prefer to have this on. It currently is enabled with that slider all the way over to the right. And that just helps you when you are controlling the thermostat to let you know that you have made a selection or that the temperature is changing. I like that audio feedback when I'm controlling the Nest thermostat, and just a really good option there. Now down below, it has the wake display option and lets you choose when the thermostat will wake display. So you can either have it wake on approach or on a press. So I leave mine on approach, and there's a little sensor in there that detects that you walked by and will turn on the display. Now the next option is the equipment option, and you'll set this up when you set the thermostat up. But if for whatever reason you need to make a change, you can click in here and change the heat fuel source or the heat delivery. The last one is fan activation, and for my system, I left it on to activate when the fan is calling for heat so that that fan will activate when heat is going through the furnace. Now, many HVAC systems will automatically activate the fan when heat is called for, but it really depends on your system. If you're not sure, it's probably best to just leave it on activate. Now we're going to go back and click on the other menu items here. Let's go ahead and click on wiring, and we can see what wires we have connected to our Nest thermostat. So once again, not much to do here because this is set up when you set up your Nest thermostat. Now the next option here is the Nest Protect option. And what this does is connect your Nest smoke and CO alarms to your Nest thermostat so that if they detect smoke or carbon monoxide, they will automatically shut off your HVAC system so that it doesn't blow smoke or carbon monoxide around your home. So if you have Nest smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, you can enable that by clicking on the Nest Protect settings. Now the last tab is the system details and just tells us our heat source, gas, and forced air. Now let's go ahead and go back to the main settings menu. Now let's go ahead and click on the next menu item, temperature preferences. So this allows you to edit your temperature presets, your safety temperature, and we have a variety of different temperatures here. So the very first one we're going to click on is temperature presets. Now the temperature presets tab lets you make some preset ranges for comfort, eco mode, which is energy saving mode, and sleep mode. So you can go in here and you can create a range that you want your HVAC system to automatically go to by selecting this range, or you can even schedule these presets to go for a duration of time. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click this up, and what you can see is the comfort temperatures only allow you a range of 3 degrees. So if I go down 1 more degree, you can see that it's 69 and 72 or 70 and 73. Now, what's kind of not intuitive about this is that if you have your HVAC system set to heat mode or to cooling mode only, then it's only going to use that comfort temperature that you set for that particular mode. So if I have my HVAC system in heat mode and I have my comfort temperature on, it means that the heat's going to be maintained at 70 degrees. Now, it will never automatically switch over to air conditioning mode if I'm in the comfort mode and I have the heat setting on. Now, if I go ahead and turn the HVAC system to AC mode, then it will have that 73 degree temperature set point and maintain the air conditioning at 73 degrees. However, if I have the comfort preset selected and I have the HVAC system in the heat and cool mode, then it will maintain these temperatures of 70 degrees and 73 degrees automatically. So the heat would kick in at 70 degrees and the air conditioning would kick in at 73 degrees, and it would maintain that temperature, but that is only in that heat and cool mode that we showed you earlier. So we're going to go ahead and save this. Now you can go into the other temperature presets and make wider ranges. Since eco mode, you're trying to save energy, you're going to want to make this as high as possible that is still comfortable for your home, and make sure it's not too low or too high for your region. So we're going to go ahead and click save here. Now the other item here is your sleep temperature. So once again, you can create a sleep range. I usually like to sleep a little bit cooler, so I'm going to turn that down. and I don't like to be too hot at night, so we're going to turn down the air conditioning as well and just leave it right there and click save. Now, where these temperature presets come into play is that you can quickly select them from the main menu on the Nest Thermostat, or you can use them in your schedule and create a range of temperatures for comfort, eco mode, or sleep, or you can even create a custom temperature preset. So we're going to go ahead and create a custom temperature preset. Let's just call it temp 1. And then we're going to go down here, enter a description. I'm just going to put one character in for that. And then we're going to click next. Now I can make this automatic temperature preset, so let's just put this at 65 and we're going to turn this one down to 75 and then click done. Now I have 4 temperature presets, but you could add even more custom temperature presets if you want. And then I'm going to show you where you can access these on the Nest menu. So we're going to go all the way back to the main screen here. And then this second icon allows you to quickly access your temperature presets. You can see we've got comfort mode, eco mode, sleep mode, and now our temperature preset that we custom created. So I'm just going to go ahead and click cancel here. And let's go back to the menu items and show you some of the other features. So we click on temperature preferences, and then we're going to click on our next item here, which is safety temperatures. Now, the safety temperature is a temperature that the heat will automatically activate or the cooling will automatically activate regardless of what your other temperature settings are. And this is designed so that your pipes won't freeze or your house won't get so hot that there's damage to it. So I live in Chicago, so typically I want to put this up as high as possible because it's very easy for pipes to freeze in the frigid north. And if you have a house that is in a warm location, it might be good to throw this down a couple degrees, 100 or even less, so that your house doesn't have any kind of issues. Now, some houses are fine being really hot. Other houses, you can cause issues with furniture, millwork, or wood floors. So we're going to go ahead and leave that where it is and click back and make whatever adjustments you want there. Now let's go down to the next tab, which is the Nest Sense features. So we've got early on, airwave, time to temp, and leaf. Now, these are the features that allow you to make some adjustments inside the Nest and control your thermostat system and really customize it. So the early on is a feature that allows you to have your HVAC system go on prior to a scheduled temperature so that it is exactly that temperature at the time you scheduled it at. So let's say you scheduled the temperature to be 70 degrees at 5 p.m. The Nest Thermostat will do some calculations in here to automatically turn on your HVAC system prior to 5 p.m. so that your house is exactly 70 at 5 p.m. Now, if you don't turn this on, what happens is that it will just turn the heat on at 5 p.m. rather than before 5 p.m. and hold that 70 degree temperature. So I recommend leaving the early on. Feature enabled, which we have enabled that early on feature. Now it lets you choose the max duration. So if it takes a really long time for your house to heat up, maybe you want to have this at a higher duration, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4, or you can put 0 hours. And if you choose 0 hours, it's really the same as disabling this feature. So I don't recommend doing that. I recommend choosing the 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours options for most people. Now you have different early on features here, so you can choose it for heating or for cooling. So we're going to go ahead and slide that over for the cooling as well. Now the next feature says when you're returning home. Heating and cooling. Turn your system on while you're away to reach the next home temperature before you arrive. This requires home and away to be turned on for this thermostat. So for the time being, I'm just going to enable this and let's see what happens. Let's go back to the menu here, and now we've got some other options. Now the airwave feature is a really nice feature that was available on previous generations, and what this does is it turns off your AC compressor outside, which is the high energy used part of the HVAC system when you're using air conditioning. And what it does is it turns that off a little bit before it turns the fan off in the HVAC system. So the intent is that you're not using as much energy, but that fan will still circulate cool air throughout your house when you have the airwave on, so that you're circulating as much cool air as possible without using as much electricity. So I like to leave this on, but you can just slide it over to the left if you want it off. There's really not an advantage I see of turning the airwave off, and if you don't have a fan, you're not going to have this feature available to you on the Nest Thermostat. Now let's go back and let's click on time to temperature. Now the time to temperature is just on the display and it will tell you how long it will take to reach a target temperature. So that actually shows up here on the phone, but it also shows up on the Nest Thermostat display itself. So let's see if we can get that temperature time on the Nest Thermostat and on the Google Home app. And you can see here it says heating in 15 minutes. So it will take 15 minutes for our house to reach the 72-degree set point. So that is what that time to temperature setting does. Now let's go ahead and look at some of the other items in here and go back to the leaf. Now the leaf just appears when you've adjusted your thermostat to an energy saving mode, and that showed up in our energy graph earlier. So not really a choice there, but just an option that tells you what that does. Let's go back and now we're going to go ahead and click on schedules. In the schedule tab, we can set schedules or add events. So it actually lets you choose up here between temperature or fan schedules. So we're going to leave it on temperature schedules and just add a basic temperature. So this is where those preset set points come into play, because you can see we've got a comfort set point, an eco set point, and a sleep set point, and the temp 1 set point that we had. So let's say that we want our temperature to be 70 degrees from, let's say, 8 a.m. We're just going to scroll down and we're going to click on 8 a.m. and we're going to click done. Okay, and now we're going to select the next set point. So at 8 a.m., our comfort set point will keep the heat to 70 degrees. And that will continue until you either adjust the temperature or another temperature set point comes into play. So let's go ahead and then click the next set point, and we're gonna have the sleep set point, and we're gonna set that one for 9 p.m. and click done. So now what we're gonna have is 2 temperature set points. The comfort temperature will remain at 70 degrees for heating from 8 a.m. until approximately 9 p.m. And then at that point, the temperature set point will go down to 62 degrees. And then you've got over here your air conditioning set points. If you have your air conditioning on, it would be at 73 and then go down to 69 at night. So that is how you set up a schedule, and you could add as many of these set points as you wanted. Now, let's say we wanted to go to Wednesday and add a schedule. We could make different times, or we could just copy our Tuesday schedule and then move it to these other days. So let's just go ahead and click it for all the weekdays. And then we're going to be able to have that same schedule as we scroll across here, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. And then we can click in here and change this. And let's say we want this at 10 a.m. Then we can make that change and click done. Now, if you want to remove a schedule set point, you just click on this and you can go down here and click delete, and that will remove that temperature set point. And then we've only got one for the day here. So with the new Nest thermostat, to use this, you want to set these temperature preferences and temperature set points and make your own custom temperature presets like we did over here so that you can use those in your schedules. It's kind of confusing compared to the previous generations of the Nest thermostat and how you scheduled things, but you really want to create these customs so then you can easily use them in your schedule. And it's important to note that the set points are only for the temperature that you have that mode in. So it won't maintain 70 to 73 degrees unless you have it in heat and cool mode. It will only maintain 70 degrees heating when you have it in heat mode, and it will only maintain 73 degrees cooling when you have it in cooling mode. So if you want the range to be accurate and turn on heat at a certain point and cooling at a certain point, you need to leave it in that heat cool mode. Or if you have it in heat mode or air conditioning mode, it's just going to go to whatever that set point is, and it won't switch between heating and cooling. So just something to note there. Now let's go back to the schedules here, and let's go ahead and look at what a fan schedule looks like. So we're going to click on temperature, and now we're going to select fan. Here you can choose to run the fan every day, and then you can have that fan run from a certain amount of time. So if you had it from 12 a.m. to 12 a.m., then it's just going to run 24/7. And for some people, if your house has uneven heating and cooling, that's a good way to do this because it will just keep circulating that air and make your home more evenly heated and cooled. Now, down here at the bottom, you can choose to have how long you want that fan duration to run for each hour. So you got 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 60 minutes, which means it's going to continuously run. For a lot of times, just even 15 minutes of circulation for each hour is a good way to make sure that your house is heating and cooling more evenly, and you can play around with these set points. So I'm just going to put it at 15 minutes. So that means our HVAC system will run the fan every day from 12 a.m. to 12 a.m., which is 24 hours. And I could adjust this, let's say from 12 a.m., and let's just put this down to 10 a.m. So then in the morning, it would run from 12 a.m. to 10 a.m. and that fan would run every 15 minutes on the hour. So that is how you set up a fan schedule, and we're just going to click back here. So we've gone through the thermostat, we've gone through the temperature preferences, we've gone through the schedules. Let's go ahead to the energy dashboard one more time, and we've already seen the energy dashboard. So let's go ahead and just click back, and we're going to click back again. And now we're to the main screen. So we've gone through all of these here. We've gone through the mode change here. You can select which mode. We're just gonna go ahead and cancel. You can select a temperature preset here. So you can click on any of one of those that we set up. And let's go to this one over here. This is the hold temperature. So what the hold temperature does is allow you to choose one of your presets that you have that we programmed in that other schedule, and then you can select an end time. So we could say we want comfort until, let's just say 1 p.m., and then it would hold that temperature at the heating comfort level of 70 degrees. But now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna click end hold down here. And let's say I want it to be 74 degrees, and I just want it to stay 74 degrees until a certain time. Well, you go back in here and you just click to current temp, and now I want it to be 74 until, let's say, 5 p.m. I just scroll over and I can have that set point at 5:30 p.m. and I'm just going to click start. And now that temperature set point will hold 74 degrees until 5:30, and then it will go to whatever you change it to or whatever it's scheduled to, whether that be eco, comfort, sleep, or this temp 1 setting that we have. So that's an easy way. If you just want to maintain the temperature during the day at a particular set point, you can go in here, click current temp, and then just click a time. So let's go ahead, we'll choose that 5:30, and now that current temperature will be held at 74 degrees until 5:30 p.m. as is shown on this device. So thank you for watching this video on how to use the new Google Nest Thermostat. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them below. I know there's a lot to take in this new thermostat, and it's very different from the previous generations of the Nest Thermostat, but we have videos on how those work as well. So if you want to support us, please subscribe, click any of the links below, and that thumbs up is always appreciated. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.